Welcome to channel KT4, broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube. You can join in by sending in questions during the show. Just press the comments button on the screen. Don't forget to click the like or share buttons. If you're watching on YouTube, please click to subscribe to channel KT4. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Kim Spickett. Welcome, Kim. Great to have you on the show.
Great to be on, Graham. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Always my pleasure. And we're going to talk about the Hogsmill River, which is great. And I know you're really passionate about it, particularly the local wetlands. And I've just said the Hogsmill River.
Yes.
But how did you become a volunteer, Kim?
Well, when we moved here, we knocked the house down to rebuild it. So the only respite we had was going for a walk to get out of the dust. And we were walking along the river and I saw notices pinned up along the bridge from somewhere called the Watervole Trust, and I'd never heard of it. And they said they were going to be making improvements in the river and removing concrete weirs and obstructions to help the passage of fish from the Thames through to the source at Bourne Hall. And I thought, well, I'm going to read up on these people because I've just moved here and I do want to know what they're going to be doing and why they're doing it. So I set off to find out. Okay,
well, I've got a little slide here, and I was wondering if you could take us through it a little bit, because it's all about the Hogsmill Partnership, Kim.
Yes, if we take the two larger ones on the left, ZSL is Zoological Society of London, who are involved in Hogsmill. The South East Rivers Trust are the people responsible for all the wonderful improvements to the look and the ecology and the opportunities for wildlife in the river. Kingston Biodiversity Network are on the right. They're a great group of people. They're a sort of an umbrella for all kinds of volunteers. And I can't praise them highly enough. They're wonderful guys to work with. Under there on the left, Thames Water and the Environment Agency. Yes, they do get involved. And I've met some lovely people, but they do need to get their act together a bit more to help us with the river. And the others, Kingston University, are mentioned there. The moles, who are absolutely marvellous, the Mole Valley, they're wonderful conservation volunteers. And I'm glad to see our council on there as well. Get involved. That's always good.
Good. But you mentioned earlier the Watervole Trust, and you've been very impressed with them. So why is it? And I've got a lovely picture again here, Kim. You can have a look at this. There we go.
Well, the Watervole Trust are now the South East Rivers Trust. They actually started in the Watervole and moved on to Beverley Brook, the Pillbrook, all our urban rivers in this area, including the Hogsmill and the Bonesgate. And that's the sort of stuff they do, getting all that awful stuff out of the river and cleaning it up.
Yeah, I can imagine that, all that stuff coming out of the river. I remember here when I moved here just over 10 years ago, the river rose by about 5 feet.
Yes.
And suddenly the stuff that was coming down the river was just incredible.
I know.
Tires, the stuff that people throw in it is absolutely unbelievable. And to be honest, I think you'll agree, it's pretty disgraceful.
It is. I mean, I'm no hero. I'm not perfect. We all get things wrong, but it just comes to a pretty pass, I think, when people think that they can get rid of their fly tipping by putting it into a river where children are playing and dogs are swimming, and it's just bad. It's bad news.
But there's also some really good stuff going on. I've got a couple of pictures here, and they're taken of the Hogsmill near Old Malden Lane. Could you explain what's being removed and what the new structures are? Here's the first one.
Well, we got very excited about this. We were actually going for a walk and we saw the digger, and what it's done, it's taken out the concrete bottom of the river and the concrete wall to the side. If you look at the picture on the right, you can see like a concrete wall instead of a nice natural bank. And they removed all that and made it look like a river again, which was absolutely lovely.
But Kim, did you say it was a concrete base to the river at that particular point? Because I thought it was all chalk based all along.
Yeah, they built weirs in the past to straighten rivers and to, in some effort, to stop flooding, but it quite often pushes the problem onto another area or makes it worse. And also, fish can't get past these weirs. They're absolutely no good for spawning because fish need gravels. It's absolutely no good for ducks and other animals to go hunting in the river on a lump of concrete. It just doesn't work.
Here's another picture for you. That's another good one.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when a weir's removed. If you look at the before and after, these are the South East Rivers Trust photographs. The improvements are absolutely great. You look at what looks like old sacking on the side of the river, and that's actually full of plants. And what they will do is hold the bank together. All that jute sacking will biodegrade naturally, and we'll have a nice muddy riverbank where things can nest.
Okay, and also we've got, obviously there are a lot of creatures in the Hogsmill. You know, what kind of animals have we got, and how safe is it for them? Here's another graphic for you, Kim.
Yeah, I mean, these are all species that you can see along the Hogsmill now. First time I saw a kingfisher, I was thrilled to bits. It's absolutely wonderful. The one on the far right, the rail, it's very secretive. You're more likely to see it in the evening, but they're beautiful, beautiful birds. They all are. It's lovely to see these things along here, and you'll see more undesirable species like mink, who are robbers of birds' nests. But you'll see deer drinking at dusk from the Hogsmill. It's lovely to see that happening again.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say where I am, we've got a bridge, and underneath the bridge, we've got kingfishers have been nesting there. We've got an egret has appeared. We've got heron. We've even got above the river, we've got pipistrelles. And in the evening, it's like watching the best circus display ever.
Yeah,
pipistrelles, you know, complete in sequence, going all the way around.
I mean, living on a nature reserve, isn't it a privilege?
Oh, it is, absolutely.
It's lovely.
You know, every morning I get up with a cup of coffee and I walk down to the river. There's a little pontoon there and an old rickety bench, and go and sit down there, and I'm just at peace with the world. It's wonderful. Here's another. Here we go.
Yes. I don't know if anybody watching this ever stands. The A240 isn't a great place to stand because it's very noisy. But if you stand on the bridge at the bottom of Worcester Park Road, you'll see an absolutely wonderful rock ramp. Now, what was there before was another one of these concrete bottom things. Well, they couldn't really remove it because the bridge would have fallen down, the road would have fallen in, and all the cars would have gone in the river, and that would have been much fun. So the only way they could get over it was to create depth for the fish. So what that rock ramp does is hold the water up and make it deeper so that the fish can pass backwards and forwards under the road, which is a very simple idea, but absolutely great.
Okay, so why is it so important for fish to be able to move along the length of the river? The reason I'm asking that is that we've got a bunch of fish around here, you know, and they become really attached to them. You know, we like to feed them and everything. To think that my lovely chub are going to go off down the river and go off to the River Thames, kind of like oh, I don't want to do that. They're my little babies, you know.
Lovely chub sounds like a nickname that my husband would have for me. But anyway, why do fish need to move? Well, eel, for a start, they literally migrate all around the world. All around the world. Fish need different depths to feed. When they're spawning, they need to find different areas. Some spawn in gravel, some like to be near the bank. Some fish like a stony surface to hide in. There are little fish called bullheads that we see in the specimen tray when we're fishing in the river and doing the wildlife surveys, and they are nighttime fish. You don't see them during the day. They like to hide under the gravel.
Okay, I think there's. Tell me something about this. The local fish ladder. That's what we've been talking about, and the way that you get the eels to go upstream. I think that's quite fascinating.
Yeah, I mean that rock ramp holds quite deep water now. So if you do stand on the bridge, you'll see a lot of birds that like to fish, like herons and our friend the egret. They'll stand on the rocks watching the fish go through, and it enables the water to be held back under that bridge and make it deep enough for larger fish to go backwards and forwards.
Oh, okay. And if there's a problem, we're going to talk about the difficulties with the water at times. And so I've just put this up for you. And I just wanted to say that, again, where I am here, we have some graylings. A shoal of graylings were there. And we had the water got disrupted, became very, very murky and horrible. And you see the graylings were at the top of the water with the gills open, trying to get a bit of oxygen. You know, it's really worrying when that happens. And 2 years ago, it was in the summer, and we were away. Whilst we were away, the river became very low, and I think there was something like around 100 fish died in the river at that particular time. I think it was due to lack of oxygen in the river.
Yeah, it's very, very sad when that happens. You should, anybody who sees that, it's very, very distressing. But that Environment Agency instant hotline it's 24-hour hotline. Just put it in your contacts on your phone, and you see anything untowards on the river while you're out walking your dog, just give them a call. You might have to wait, but just persevere and give them a call.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do, Kim, is I've posted some bits on Facebook of contact details, and I'll add that one on. I haven't put that one on yet, but I will do. But this is this is caused by sewage leaking into the river by different means, and explain this wonderful graphic here.
Excuse me. If you look on the left, you'll see the beginnings of development when a couple of roads of houses are built, and water runs from the roofs onto hard surfaces like pavement. There's a rainwater sewer and there's a foul sewer. If you get very, very heavy rain, then if the rainwater gully becomes overwhelmed, then it defaults to the sewage pipe. And next to the Hogsmill, we have storm tanks. They're like big catcher tanks, so that if the sewers get completely overwhelmed, the catcher tank's meant to hold it. But given that we've got much higher development now, we've got a lot more roads, we've got more and more people are paving their gardens over because they need somewhere to park their cars. So there's a lot more water rushing down the drain, and the storm tanks can't cope anymore. So when we get heavy rainfall, they overrun and discharge into the Hogsmill.
Yeah, it is a worry. You mentioned about new properties being built and various things like that. I mean, on the Old Malden Lane here, coming up to this point, within the last 5 years, when they finish the next build project, which is going ahead now, there'll be something like nearly about 100 new properties on a very small stretch of the river. And that worries me, because what's the environmental impact going to be to the river with all those new dwellings and all those new people?
People need houses. Families need somewhere to live. That's very important. But if developers speak to people like the South East Rivers Trust, they can get a lot of really good information about how to mitigate that water problem. They'll always help. They're the go-to for matters like this. And if only developers would listen to Rivers Trusts and take some advice before they start building, the problem would be a lot less.
Yeah, and here's a graphic which is showing how it's correct drainage, and there's another graphic here.
Yes, I mean that's another reason that nasty stuff gets into the river, because if properties have the water from their washing machine, baths, sinks, or even worse, the toilet, going into the rainwater area, that's a misconnection. And that will mean that the surface water is getting dirty water instead of rainwater off the roof. You'd be surprised how many properties in the country have been misconnected. Thames Water actually went around the Epsom and Ewell area tackling misconnections, and they found quite a few.
Yeah. Do you think there's enough interest, Kim, at the moment in time in our rivers and seas?
Sorry, could you repeat, please?
Yeah. Do you think there's enough interest in our rivers and seas?
I think there is, but people don't know what to do. They think that they can't help, that there's nothing they can do. They feel helpless and depressed about it. But there is even a little bit. If you see a plastic bottle blowing along the road in this area, and you pick it up, it means it doesn't blow into the river. Question water companies, ask them what they're doing, misconnections and sewers, get the information, and get involved with the people like the South East Rivers Trust. And if you don't like getting in the river and creepy crawlies, and doesn't really float your boat picking up litter, then donate to them so that they can do more work.
Good idea, Kim. I've got a couple of interesting pictures here. I was wondering if you could let our viewers know just a little bit about it.
So the work that I do monitoring invertebrates in the river, invertebrate populations are a very, very good indicator of how clean water is. And South East Rivers Trust did a series of training courses that I attended. They were all free, which is absolutely fantastic. I went off to the Wandling Carshalton to learn how to monitor species, catching them in a net and doing a count. And if you get a low count, that is a trigger. So you inform the Environment Agency that you've had a low count, and they'll investigate the water quality in that area. We've got a marvellous team leader, Peter Short. He writes the Hogsmill newsletter that you can pick up on the Cuddington RA website. And he's my team leader. And a group of us go into the Hogsmill where it joins the Bones Gate on the other side of the 240. And we go once a month and fish down and see what we can find, do a bit of microscope work. It's good.
Okay. So why did you decide that the local magazine needed a regular feature on the natural environment, Kim?
Because I had people stopping me when I'd be walking down the road in my waders, and they'd say, "You're going fishing, Kim?" And I'd say, "Oh no, I'm going to monitor the river." And I'd get things like, "It's not a real river, is it?" So, yes, it is. It's a chalk stream. It's one of 200 in the world. We're lucky to have one. It's beautiful. There's all sorts of things. People have said, surely there's not fish living in there because it's all polluted, isn't it? So yeah, there are. And that's a couple of my classmates on the Wandle learning how to do the sampling. And that's a lovely little creature. He's a caddis, a cased caddis. He makes a little coat out of bits and pieces he finds along the riverbed and hides in it until he's ready to become an adult fly. I think they're lovely.
Yeah, they are. I've got to ask you this. What do members of the public, how do they react when they see you walking down along Old Malden Lane in waders? And I've got a picture with you with the, I think it's the president of the Women's Institute. I believe it's Nicola. There we go.
We've been in the river, actually, building a new riverbank in York. That's us having a cuppa. So after we've been to the sanitation station to wash our hands, I hasten to add.
Oh dear me! I think it's a really great picture, Kim. Thanks for sharing that.
Look, isn't it?
Yeah, with us. Now I want you to explain this picture to me, will you?
Yes, one of the cased caddis flies that I showed you. There's one species that makes its case from tiny, tiny little grains of stone and sand. And you can see a nice bright green piece there. And that is a plastic microbead.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's... But we've got to try and educate people so that they don't put things into our lovely river. And I think something like the Cuddingtonian is probably a good place to do it. And I think council should get they're doing a lot, I know, and maybe they could do just a little bit more to help us.
Yeah, I think we need stronger, tougher action on litter. I'd like to give a shout out to a lovely person called Anne. She lives along Worcester Park Road, and she picks up litter along there every week.
Okay, well, that's really good. So well done. Big shout out for Anne.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. And having said that, does our community in Cuddington care about the river? And could you do with more volunteers?
Yes, they do. I mean, we've got two of our councillors. Robert Foote, he came along with my husband and I to the wetland consultation in Youghal. He's very interested. He's very interested in the Watervole project that's going to be introducing water voles back into the river. Councillor Phil Neal, he was in the river helping you move a fly tip because it was stopping the river from flowing. Well, I just stood there in my flip-flops looking a bit useless while he's a rower and he's a river guy, and he waded in and got the river flowing again. So yes, I think all in all, and the people that live around here, everybody along our road will pick up litter if they see it. A lot of people don't realise that sweet wrapper blowing down their road. Yes, it's a bit of a nuisance, and you probably don't feel like it's your job to pick it up, but it will end up in the river, and then it will end up in the Thames, and then it will end up in the sea. So just I know it's nasty, but just pick it up, put it in the bin.
Okay, yeah, absolutely, I agree. Now, the slide that I just had up for you there, so that everybody could see it, I've put that on the Channel KT4 Facebook page, and I will put it onto all the other local community pages, along with other information, because I think it's really useful. Yeah, I think it's really important we get all that information out there. Okay, Kim, you've got a minute. If there's anything now you'd like to add it's over to you, Kim.
I'd just like to add, Southeast Rivers Trust, you're absolutely great. Please, everybody, do everything you can to support them and show them some love. That's it, really.
Look, Kim, thank you so much for joining me in my virtual studio here at Channel KT4. It's been a pleasure and so interesting talking to you. I can see how passionate you are about our local environment. So, Kim, please keep up the good work.
Thank you.
My pleasure. This is Graham Jones broadcasting live on Channel KT4. Join me next Tuesday at 12:30 when I'll be heading over to KT17 to find out all about the proposed plans for the High Street. Until then, stay alert and stay safe.